open the January 3rd Select Board meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, a new year. Happy New Year. Here we go. New year, thank you. New year, same topic, budget. Ben will be here, but he's gonna be late. We do have as a first order of business on the agenda, the minutes of 12/29.
December 29th, 2022, both the regular minutes and the non-public minutes.
There's only regular this time.
Oh, that's what I said.
That's a typo.
Like a motion to pass, accept the minutes as written for December 29th, 2002.
Second, Tony?
I wasn't here,
Well, I will make the second. All in favor?
Can I make, there's one correction. On the last page, it should be Mr. Moran instead of Dumas Moran. That's what you get when you're doing, the very last motion.
Yeah. Wait,
Where?
where?
On the motion to close,
On December 29th.
yeah, on December,
I'm not seeing that.
oh, I got the wrong set of minutes.
Mr. Eaton, motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:30, Mr. Moran
I
seconded.
take that all back, I grabbed the wrong
All
set
right,
of
all in
minutes.
favor?
Aye.
You don't have to, 2 out of 3.
Abstain.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 is good. All right. The town administrator's report.
Okay, I'm actually like to use my report to touch upon the agenda items kind of in order and then just mention some of the FYIs at the very end.
Okay.
So the first item has to do with revenue. That is this sheet right here.
Yep.
The revenue is projected to be approximately 100,000. Exact number is 94,284, in excess of the amount used to do the tax rate. That leads to 2 possible actions by the board. One is the board could use that $94,000 in additional fund balance to offset a warrant article. And the second thing is, I believe the actuals provide us a basis to increase our revenue projection by $25,000 to a total revenue projection of $2,295,791.
Give me that whole number again, please.
It's on the last page, the
2,000,000,
bottom of the orange column.
yeah, $2,295,791.
Which impacts the tax cap.
That would then have an impact on the tax cap in that it would allow an additional $25,000 of expenditure without hitting the tax cap. So we'd already projected $75,000 when we did the original tax cap back in September.
Yep.
Now that we have the actuals in, it seems reasonable to increase our revenue projection for next year to match what our revenue was this year.
Is there anything that would give us any indication that one of the revenue lines will be more this year?
I think that the trend in motor vehicles is such that we can go a little higher in motor vehicles. There is, however, a couple of lines that we predict will be lower. One was the settlement for an accident, so I took that and reduced that line, even though the actual was up. I'm not anticipating we're gonna have a $17,000 accident again, that the insurance settlement comes in. So
That was insurance money that we got.
that we got.
Okay.
So there's a couple of places where that happened, but overall, I think this is a reasonable, it's not extremely conservative, but it's not a real wild shot in the dark to
Okay.
assume that we're having additional 100,000 in revenue.
Okay. So the question for the board is, are we comfortable with using the actuals as the progression, as the projection for 2023 with the impact on the tax cap?
Yeah, and basically with my slight adjustments, so that you're accepting basically the beige column as on this sheet.
Yep.
And then we'll put it into the 737 that goes to the budget committee.
Thoughts?
Our income has been trending higher than our projections for the past, at least the past 3 years anyways.
Yep. Yep.
I don't have a problem with that.
Tyler?
Me either.
Okay.
So is someone going to make a motion to accept the 2,295,791
As the,
projected revenue that's presented to the budget committee?
all right, I'll make a motion to accept.
Pause for a second. Just one question.
Oh.
So well, never mind. I take it back. Because we're January 3rd. Everything is in for 2022. Never mind. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That it's possible something else will come in that has to be added, but basically we're all in.
That's where I was going, but given where we are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's irrelevant. Sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the updated projected revenue figure of $2,295,791.16 to factor into this year, the 2023 budget preparation.
Second.
All in favor, roll call.
I, Tyler Eaton.
I, Donna Danus.
I, Tony Dumas.
Okay. We do have somebody who's doing the minutes online now, so we do have to be careful to,
Tonight I'm gonna do it because I thought it was easier with all the budget stuff.
fine.
Rather than her get up to speed on the budget.
Makes
She'll
sense.
start, our next meeting.
Okay, great.
Okay, the next, so therefore, that is the first step. Then, the tax cap. Is the board now going to vote to adjust the tax cap by that additional 25,000 of projected revenue to be 4,842,866?
And again, in doing so, that gives us a little more leeway in the cuts that we were trying to make last week to hit the 4%.
Yes.
Do we want to do that? Like, do we want to take back some of those cuts if we do this?
So the way I left it was that we were off their number significantly.
We still need to cut $8,000.
And we still need to cut 8,000, but
Even if you do this.
it reduces it from. what-
Gotcha.
I had like
Yeah,
25,000 or something like that. It, round.
Yes.
It brings it down from, we have to find 25,000 in cuts to 8,000 in cuts.
gotcha,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Then I'll make a motion for the board to increase the tax cap by 25,000 in light of our increased revenue projection to $4,842,866.
Second.
Roll call.
I, Tyler Eaton.
I, Donna Danus.
I, Tony Dumas.
I think cutting 8,000 is gonna be a hell of a lot easier than,
Yeah.
20 plus.
Well.
Still hurts,
Maybe.
still
And we
hurts.
were already to the bone before we started all these cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the last round of cuts you made were hurting, so you're right, this is still going to continue to hurt.
But it hurts a lot less.
Another budget question. Emergency management has 11 lines that previously we kept $1 in case we wanted to use them, but this time they were all zeroed out. And my suggestion is we put those dollar lines back in there, like a emergency grant, things like
Yep,
that.
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
So is that a motion to do that?
Which lines, okay.
It's
so-
like lines 245 to 250 and 252 to 256. If you look,
Let's look at those.
notice them because they got all the minus ones in the end.
Yeah. Who zeroed those out?
Yeah, I think that was just a mistake.
Okay. So we want one in each of those?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we put, do we need a motion on that?
You could just direct, yeah, I think where we're making changes, yeah. if I
Yeah, it's
could,
like
that
a
would make
buck.
it
I
easier.
mean, we can all agree on a buck per line, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I think John feels more comfortable with motions.
All right. All right, then I'll make a motion to put, the amount of $1, back in the emergency management, budget lines, 245 through 250 inclusive, and 252 to 256 inclusive.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Hi, Tyler Eden.
I, Donna Danus.
By Tony Dumas.
Okay.
okay. Past, I was just gonna put past 11-0. Yes. Okay. Okay, so, so the next, okay, so that took care of that item. So then, the next item has to do with final budget adjustments of reaching, it's now it's basically $8,100. It's $8,099, according to my calculation, we need to find. Now, that does not include anything in the library salary line, highway engineering, or some of the other lines you said you'd look back at.
Yep.
There was an issue with the library line, I should mention to you, the library salary line on, line 349.
Yep.
The original budget number, was done for a part-time employee whom the board had said could move to full-time. So that line, should be the base that you use for the 5.7% adjustment and everything to get to the proposed budget. So the increase is 16,000, not 23,000 on behalf of the library, so.
Do you remember that, Tony, what we did last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the proposed, the older sheet, had 124,000, I think it was in that column.
Where we will get in trouble with that is if we end up with the default budget.
Yep. But we're gonna get in a lot of trouble if we end up
Yeah,
with the default,
exactly,
isn't it?
exactly.
So I just want to mention that on the library, as you start.
So it's really, I mean, their percent increase for salary isn't as dramatic as it looks because of that.
Is that gonna prevent that employee from going full-time if we go with that budget committee recommendation?
They already did.
Yeah.
They already did. We found the money last year.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep.
Yeah,
If you recall, they came to us, they said, we want to increase this person. We said, yes, go ahead. And then when we went through the budgeting process last year, basically we forgot to budget that. So they came back and said, you said we could.
Yeah.
And we said, yeah, we will. So that's basically what happened,
Okay.
yeah. It was kind of just one of those things that got lost in the shuffle with
Okay.
no TA guidance,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, so, so that being said, it's $8,100 basically that.
Yep.
And
Yep. So are you looking to do that now, or do you wanna come back to that?
no, I think keep doing everything along in sequence, so,
Okay, so you wanna do that now?
yeah. If we could.
Okay. So I went through, I mean, there were some things that we flagged as questionable. Couple of things that I looked at is, like, the merit pool, do we want to reduce that at all? We cut it by 10,000. We've got 75,000 in there. Well, we had 75, it got reduced by 10, so that puts it at 65. Historically, I don't know that we've used that much. That was one that I looked at.
If you take the 8,100 there, you're done, ready to move to the next subject.
Correct, right? The other thing was, historically, all of the social services numbers were originally a warrant article, up until 2016. And then 2017, they became part of the budget. So that is, another option is to move those back to warrant article. Not the general assistance that we're obligated to provide, but the social services.
Yeah, the local,
Yep. And again, we know people are, I mean, that's one of those things that we can take it out of the budget, but then there can be a motion at the deliberative to put them back in, and there can be a good case made to put them back in.
right.
So, yeah, again, I was just trying to come up with some ideas.
Would that bite us in the backside next year? For preparing next year's budget, like if we take all these things out of the budget and put it into warrant articles, is that gonna hamstring budget prep next year because they're starting from a smaller budget this year?
They would have to end up, potentially, but they would have to end up being warrant articles moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, true, and we kinda knew that was gonna end up being
So,
the new norm,
yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of like, I was just trying to look at it from the perspective of what's gonna hurt, what's gonna get us there in big chunks, right?
What if we just said we wanna use ARPA funds on the engineering? $10,000.
Well, I am suggesting a warrant article for 90,000 of engineering with fund balance.
So would that eliminate what line is that, Tyler?
Is it? Yeah, the reason I wouldn't recommend doing it is future years. I think that there always ought to be, if the warrant article goes down for some reason, there always ought to be engineering money in the budget.
Right.
You're on to one of the 200s, high 275.
Yeah, plus if, if somebody at deliberative manages to get that line reduced to, $1 or zero,
Yeah,
then there's no engineering money, which means none of the construction projects can
right,
go forward.
right.
So
Yeah,
that's risky.
Yeah, I think taking it out of engineering is risky.
Auditors, I don't recall,
We're overspent now on that
We're
line.
overspent,
Because
okay.
we hadn't got the last bill. The last bill came in and is entered. That's up, probably the bottom of the first page, beginning of the second.
highway fuel,
That's at 56,000 out of 60 now. They've been using fuel lately.
excuse me, okay,
Yeah, the auditor, at one while there, that looked like it would be a possible line, but we overspent the line by, we spent 17,075 and we only budgeted 16, so we've already spent more this year by $1,000 than we have budgeted.
Okay. John, by the way you put this spreadsheet together with the, here was the change, here was suggested by the budget committee, and here was suggested by us, that was really helpful.
Thank you.
Um,
I corrected that problem we had with that in-between column, the change from 22 to 23.
So, I mean, we could be done if we look at the merit pool, which, last year included, it was increased to cover the 4% COLA. Previous years it was between 30 and 40, but again, last year it was, including the COLA. I guess we could do it there, we could be done, but then have we allowed anywhere for any salary increases for employees?
Some departments built in what they expected was going to happen with their merit raises when they had their evaluation. But I don't believe that was done uniformly throughout.
And it's really, they do it, but it comes out of that line, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like, if we make that line too bare bones, then we don't have salary increases.
If you found you were using a lot of that line, you might have to cut somewhere else in order to be able to do the salaries.
Yep. Yep. Which, I mean, is it kind of like 6 of one, half a dozen of another, that no matter where we kind of cut, we have to find it somewhere?
Right, and you may have to shift other lines that have been cut real close.
Yep.
You don't know exactly how it's all going to work out. I did make the change in here of the recreation switch, so no effect on the bottom line.
I saw that, yeah. So if we're at 65. If we're at 65 now, if we took the 8 out of there, that would put that at 57.
8 out of the merit.
Yeah.
The other thing to think about, and I very much support the library, but it could be that the budget committee's gonna take something out of the library no matter what, and you might wanna take a portion, say 3 out of the library and 5 out of the merit line or something like that. Cause I, as much as I think the library director deserves an increase based on performance, longevity, and neighboring communities, it does seem to be a target of some people on the budget committee. That's the top of, next to last page, 349.
But that increase there also reflects the
Part-timer, right?
the part-timer, right?
Yes.
So we can't take it all out of
No,
there.
that's why I said you might
Yeah.
take 3 or 2 or 3 or something like that, just so that you had some response to the budget committee. Just a
Yeah.
thought.
Because wasn't it, how much was the increase for the librarian?
Let me look that up. Trying to decide where I'll find it quickest.
Originally, it was a 13%, right? Now it's going down.
Right.
Right.
I mean, that point's,
Okay, what was the question again on the library?
so the library salary increase, it looks like an increase of 16,642, but some of that is actually reflecting the fact that that part-time person went to full-time.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's not all salary increases.
Correct.
So I guess the, part of the question was, how much of that was salary increase versus that, adding that, accounting for that increase?
Well, that's the library director's workshop.
Yeah, I don't have that breakdown here.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
I mean, we've taken out of the library. Rec, we've taken quite a bit out of rec, and those seem to be the two areas that are the most sensitive for the budget committee.
Yeah.
I feel pretty adamant that we can't take the rec committee the budget committee wanted to take 10,000 out of, beach maintenance and mowing. I feel pretty adamant that we've gotta leave the money in there to take care of Marston.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just have wasted an investment in a project that the community cares about.
We hadn't agreed with that anyway, have we, or?
No, we did not agree with that. Yeah,
Wasn't counted toward that number.
yeah.
How much were they looking to take out? Oh, I see it.
Yeah, they wanted, seven, they wanted to take 10 out. And again, that's also where, you know, money for, vandalism comes out of.
Yeah, I mean, if we take away all the maintenance and repair funds, it's all gonna, you know, it's gonna fall to ruin, you know? And it will absolutely be a very large investment gone to waste, you know?
John, what, I can't remember, what's the number of full-time employees that we have? Is it like 20-something?
I just saw that document. I don't know off the top of my head. As the budget proceeds, I get more and more pieces of paper.
Yeah, I know,
with information on
I
it.
know.
Full-time employees, 22, part-time 26, paid elected officials 14.
Right.
22 full-time, 26 part-time, 14 paid elected officials.
I don't know, what do you guys think?
How many vacant positions do we have right now?
There may be a part-time position vacant at the transfer station. I think there is. We've got 3 over there now. I think we're allowed a 4th one on Saturday or something that we don't have. Police have 2 that need academy before they're turned loose on their own. I don't know if the fire is fully staffed or not. He may be 1 short. I don't know.
That's an excellent question.
Cause I'm wondering if there's enough vacant positions that that even if they're filled this year, they will not be drawing on the merit pool. So we could,
Give them the track record. That's,
and there is a lot of turnover, so when somebody leaves, if somebody leaves during the course of this year and someone else is hired, they're not gonna be drawing on the merit pool this
They're
year,
not gonna be even drawing on the salary line.
during that interim period, yeah.
And there's a month delay on their benefits, there's, you know, you may go 2 months without paying on health insurance, so there's be savings there. While turnover is not to be desired, it's going to occur in this environment.
That's a really good point.
So I'm thinking we probably could take that 8,000 out of merit without impacting,
And
you know,
in
those,
past practice, we've never used close to that.
Yeah, but again, remember that that's where the line is. And it's been basically taken, like, it's kind of just like an accounting thing. But I think it's clean, the thing is, I think it's clean to take it out of there. I think we still have to send the message that even in doing so, we're going to take care of employees
Yeah.
and make sure that they get raises as
Yeah.
needed. And that there's room in the budget for, that we have the flexibility of moving things around in the budget.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
So do we wanna take the full 8,000 out of that? Are we okay doing that?
Yeah, I mean, John's point about the library is well taken, but I just don't see a lot under the library that we could do.
There's nowhere else in the library to cut it from.
Right.
I mean, and they've been squeaking by on the same operational budget for several years now.
Well, we cut their, not showing here.
Yeah, we cut their legal out of their operational
Yeah.
subsidy.
Why isn't that showing on this sheet?
Shows on mine.
Oh, it's under, operations?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, line 351.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I think I would like, tell me what you guys think of that. That we take it out of that line, but we make a narrative that says something to the effect of, you know, the wording's not right, but.
Fairly compensating our employees,
Yeah, something to that effect, yeah,
the minutes now say.
yeah. All
Yeah,
right,
that, the board wants to be sure the employees know the board will support fairly compensating our employees. I mean, that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So is there a
We have
motion?
we got people that don't even have a year here, so,
Right,
but again, we have some of our own department heads or whatever that they don't come forth with, you know. This is where people didn't get raises for 3 years,
yeah.
so.
But I think you're right, Tony, it's kind of hedging the bet on what our historical record has
Yeah.
been as, in terms of having 100% positions filled. So, I mean, I'm good with that if somebody wants to make a motion on it.
I'll make a motion to cut an additional $8,000 from budget line for the merit compensation pool.
So an additional $8,099?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
$8,099.
Line 4.
Line 4.
Roll call?
Hi, Tyler Eaton.
By Donna Danus.
All right, Tony Dumas.
And again, I want to make sure that we reiterate that this does not mean that we are saying that we're not going to take care of our employees, that we remain committed to making sure that our employees are fairly compensated.
I will also report that.
Thank you.
I heard it.
Okay, so the next item that I want to bring up is fund balance. Just to
Yep.
report that there is approximately $200,000 available to use for fund balance based on our policy. That consists of approximately 100,000 that we were over the target when they set the tax rate, and approximately 100,000 of additional revenue. So there is about 200,000 in fund balance to use in offsetting warrant articles.
Great. Excellent.
Okay, so. Next item, for warrant articles, here are the proposal I make for warrant articles. A warrant article to fix the veterans' credit. I assume you want to fix it at $750, which is the current amount.
Yeah, yeah,
Consensus?
yeah.
Yep.
$750 credit off their taxes for veterans. The state expanded the number of veterans eligible, so consequently it required towns to readopt it.
So 750.
750.
Okay.
The next item, I'm suggesting a $90,000 adding to the town maintenance, building, and repair expendable trust. We have an expendable trust for buildings. It was established in 2014. The purpose is it shall be used for maintenance, repair, or replacement of heating, not heaving, ventilation, air conditioning, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, or other major systems in town buildings or facilities. There is money in that. If you look at CIP, there was a request for $25,000 for the gym. There were 2 requests for the fire department. We have the issues related to the water line, the wastewater line here in this building, to our water system, to roofs, and it would seem using fund balance to build that up so we could start making repairs to the town buildings. The library, could be, but I'm thinking primarily of the fire department in this building in the warrant article right now, because of how the CIP is written.
Were there any changes in the CIP?
CIP failed to meet again. So what we have from the CIP came out of their first meeting, and that's all we have.
Okay.
And that's pasted in here on the, third page.
Okay.
So why don't I go through the list and then we can go
Yep.
back and see. The
Yep.
next item I'm suggesting is 20,000 article for the revaluation capital reserve fund using fund balance.
Yeah.
The reason I'm recommending fund balance is it may not be a popular article, but we've got to do it and we need to start saving for it. The next one is $90,000 for engineering projects, including culverts and the library parking lot. The library made clear that their 2020 split, the first year was engineering and the second year was actual paving, so I thought putting the two together in a engineering article made sense, and again, using fund balance. A $6,000 article, the library wants to make the doors ADA accessible, so you push a blue button and they open.
Yep.
And it wants to fix the ramp, the walkway from the parking lot, both of which I think are important from an Americans with Disability Act compliance issue.
Yeah.
The standard, $100,000 for fire vehicle SCBA, $100,000 for the highway truck, the $400,000 for the highway reconstruction, and before we're done, we're gonna need a list of roads.
Yeah.
$10,000 for invasive species, $40,000 to run the ambulance out of the ambulance special revenue fund, so there's no cost, that's like in and out article. Then $10,000, the police wanted to establish a new expendable trust fund for technical and IT projects.
Yeah.
So that's the list that I was proposing for warrant articles.
So, one question I had. So one thing, guys, that I had is for Article H, the 400,000 for highway reconstruction and maintenance. And what we did, it's usually 300 in the operating budget, 300 in the warrant article. And so we reduced the operating budget by 2 and said, no, by 1, and said, let's add that to the warrant article. My only concern about doing it as a lump sum that way is if for some reason that didn't pass, highway department would be left with 200. So, my question was, do we do the 400 all in one lump sum? Or do we do it as 2 warrant articles, one that's 300 and one that's 100? And again, I'm only questioning because of the no means no, right?
Right.
I had thought of that. The one concern I would have is they both might go down, although you could have one for general repairs and one for specific roads. I think he's mentioned a couple of roads that need to be in there. You could do it that way, one for general road construction and one for paving.
On the other hand, I guess if we have specific roads that add up to the 400, that could make.
And then we list them out.
Right,
That way people know exactly what it's going to.
yeah, that could work,
Yeah.
okay,
Could have 2 articles, but then it would be competing,
right.
my road or your road, you know.
Right, so if we just do the 400, but we make it explicitly clear what roads and why it's 400.
Yeah, and what work it's
Okay,
going to,
all right,
yeah.
I'm good with that.
Are there additional warrant articles that you would like to have? I do list the CIP plan. I think the backhoe and the utility truck are best dealt with ARPA and highway funds.
And you think we can get both of those for that?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
The utility truck, the highway fund has 129,000,
okay,
and that's more than what we need there.
okay,
And the backhoe is in ARPA, and we've taken some of the other things that you were thinking about taking out of ARPA and put them in warrant articles.
okay,
The town office has a long list here, but establishing, I think, starting to use that expendable trust and put money into it perhaps every year is the way to go about doing that. And it would be up to the board to prioritize what comes first, and I had indicated that my recommendation for priority is the oil tank, the underground wastewater drains, and the pressure tank, so we don't burn out our well. But certainly there are other uses. That wouldn't use all of the, it'll be 127,000 that's available. I think fixing the fire department roof is high on our list. I do think in the past, department heads have not felt empowered to take care of their own buildings as much as I think we need to start empowering. I've mentioned before that I think Dale should be put in charge of overseeing these projects with his building background.
yeah,
So, I think that, the only one I question is the 10,000 for invasive species, because they've got money there and they're never using it. So, but on the other hand, I think it sends the wrong message if you don't put it in, so.
they have to be coming close to using that, and they're, what's that?
They're gonna use it.
Yeah, there's discussions about buying a boat that will make it easier to do the extraction.
Good.
Yep,
As long as there's a plan, I think that's,
Yeah.
I think it needs to be ready to be described at the deliberative session,
Yeah.
or maybe even to the budget committee.
I agree. Hey, so going back to the highway department CIP, so backhoe utility truck we can cover with ARPA. What about the one thing that we hadn't agreed to before was the cover for the tire area?
That was like $10,000.
But that's on the ARPA list,
Yeah.
okay. I've just got a list of stuff from Sean, I'm just trying to make sure we got it covered.
Yeah, it was, in fact, I think it was tabled in the summer. It almost went through in the summer, and they tabled it and never, well, I don't know if you came back to it. I didn't see in the minutes. when
We
you
never came back to it,
Yeah.
but I
so-
just wanna make sure it's on the list from ARPA now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things on the ARPA list. The fire department has a long list on the ARPA list, but I think,
I just wonder why, why are we going for a backhoe and a truck out of ARPA when
no,
one of them should at least be, I think, a warrant article,
well, what I said was the truck should come out of the highway money. We got an extra 129,000 in highway money that can only be used on highway stuff, like vehicles or
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm suggesting that one buy the truck and the backhoe come out of ARPA.
Yeah,
The, you're having staff come in on Saturday and run the loader down there to do stuff, and, I think we need to have a backhoe. And the other thing about the backhoe is it could be used on roads 3 to 4 days a week. I personally don't know why you bought an excavator. I mean, the backhoe would been much more utility vehicle, most towns go that route.
Tom, you had said from the town offices, the expense trust, where's that money coming from?
Fund balance,
Oh, unbalanced. Unbalanced,
yes.
sorry.
the other thing though is I do wanna see, them get the utility truck, right? Because that got voted down last year, and since we had to spend like $7,000 on a new transmission. In
On an
fact,
old truck,
right after.
yeah.
And
And the
it's,
old truck's in the garage again.
yep, and everything on it's rotting out, and so I think it's time to,
As I've indicated, that one you can vote on after town meeting. Because last year, the voters said no, and that means you can't acquire, it's a gray area if you could use ARPA to acquire it before the next town meeting. The no means no, going a full cycle from town meeting to town meeting. Because that was a no on the, it got voted to 0 and then reduced to
Yeah,
0.
it got reduced, the dollar, it got reduced to 0.
So, so that one, I would suggest that you plan to do it the second week of March, to order that truck. The backhoe you could do anytime.
okay.
Ben, welcome.
We've done all the hard work, Ben.
Oh, yeah?
So quick recap.
Yeah.
Basically, after the calculations for revenues, we needed to come up with an extra $8,000, $8,100 to cut, compared to what we did already. And we talked about it a lot, and what we decided is, we voted to pull the 8,100 from the merit compensation pool line, with the understanding that it doesn't mean that we're saying we're not gonna fairly compensate or take care of employees, but,
Isn't that the fund that we generally pull from when we're gonna compensate them?
well, we've never used the full amount that's there. And we're assuming that based on history, that we're never at 100% staff. So we,
Oh, I get that, so what's typically in there, 75?
yeah, we was reduced to 65, and so we,
10 out, huh?
8,
75, 65, so,
but we're taking an additional 8 out of there. Again, making it clear that that doesn't mean that there isn't gonna be any merit compensation or fair compensation for employees. But it's just, it's kind of, and we have still the flexibility of moving money from line to line. So, it is just,
but, okay, I hear what you're saying, but, I mean, this is like bare bones as it is. I mean,
well, we have to take 8,000 from somewhere.
And consider too, the,
They're just getting here. We got new employees that just got here. They probably wouldn't be till next year, I would think.
okay,
Yeah, they
what
won't
about-
hit the
What about the
merit.
employees that are here now? I
Oh,
mean-
yeah.
I mean, we still have evaluations.
oh yeah, there's enough for them,
we got enough.
right? We're just thinking, the employees that are just starting, and then the positions that are still vacant, that if they're filled later this year, they won't be hitting the merit pool this year.
Yeah.
So we're sort of gambling on that, but we don't really have a lot of options left either, so.
Again, the narrative and the clear message is, we are not going to shortchange employees, we are still going to take care of employees.
Okay.
And then John just reviewed the list of, warrant articles, which I can't think of anything else offhand, John, I think that covers everything.
I'm sorry, real quick, Donna. So, we're not, we take this amount out of the merit. Does it go back to the original amount come next year?
That's up to the board doing the budgeting next year.
It's gonna be tough to ever get it back because of the 4% cap. You're gonna be constantly fighting this battle.
But that doesn't mean that that line doesn't change.
Correct.
It means the overall budget number. We
Correct.
can decide next year that some other line goes down or goes away for some reason, and that merit increase line goes back up. But again, historically, only 30 to 40 has been used out of that line.
So we've never spent the entire amount?
I don't know if anybody really knows the answer to that, because they get factored into the budget lines, and Betsy couldn't answer that question when we asked.
Okay.
Damn. Not sitting well with me, but okay.
Well, what would you do? Well, I mean, what would you do, Ben?
I mean, you start cutting out of the merit raises, we have a hard enough time keeping employees as it is. And, you know, look at the fire department. for
Okay, so where would you take the 8,000 from?
And we got 22 full-time employees, 26 part-time. 14 elected people, there's nothing there for.
But you're saying we had to cut an additional 8,000 on top of the 64 or 70, what we were at?
We're at 65, were we?
So we had to cut, no, what I meant is, we were looking at 64 originally to cut for the budget, right? Did it go up
We were at,
since the last time we talked?
I'm sorry, did what go up?
Did the amount that we had to cut go up?
Down.
It went down.
went down.
Okay.
All we have to do is find an additional 8,000. If we cut that line to 57, right, which is, I think, where we would be, and you divided that by 40 employees, that still allows $1,500 per employee, if we went that way.
That doesn't even cost the rate of inflation.
Okay, Ben, again, where would you take the other 8,000?
Is this something that can be put back in the deliberative session?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
but you're not answering my question. You've just complained about where we took it from, but you haven't said where you would take the 8,000 from instead.
I'd have to go through this whole thing all over again. 'cause
Well,
I-
that was the purpose of tonight,
Yeah.
was for everybody to come prepared, having gone through the whole thing.
Come prepared. Okay, Donna.
Well,
No, that's all right. You made your point. You
yeah,
made your
I
point.
hope so.
Yeah, you sure did.
All right, anybody have any comments on the warrant articles?
Yes,
Steve?
I would like you to remind the voters, the citizens, that they have till January 10th if they wish to submit a warrant article.
Yeah, a petition warrant article, yep,
Yeah.
that's fair. Voters have until January 10th to submit a petition warrant article. Absolutely. All right, any comments on the warrant articles as, John has proposed?
The easiest way to see them, Ben's in my report. Starting really the bottom of page 1, which is to fix the veterans credit, just to re-adopt it because of changes they made in expanded coverage. And then 90,000 for town maintenance and building repair, 20,000 for capital reserve reval, 90,000 for engineering, which includes culverts and the library parking, 6,000 for the entrance area to the library, that's the ADA door that will auto-open in the walkway. 100,000 for fire vehicle, 100,000 for highway truck capital reserve, 400,000 for highway reconstruction, 10,000 for invasive species, 40,000, that's operation of the ambulance out of the ambulance special revenue fund, and 10,000 to start an expendable trust for police technical and IT projects. I think that's everything we were talking about.
What are we doing for the trucks in regards to the highway department?
The plan would be that the utility truck would be bought out of that excess 129,000 we received in highway money that can only be used for highway,
Yeah,
and the backhoe would come out of ARPA.
so why don't we, for 1 year, table the, highway truck capital reserve, because that's basically meant for the big trucks, and that fleet is fairly new now. I think we can probably hold off another, a year without adding that.
Well, perhaps cut it in half and put 50 in and start it at a lower rate if
Okay,
you're
we
gonna
did that
go
for the
longer.
fire department, and we never put the $50,000 back in with that one a couple years ago.
Well, it's up to 100, it was 100 last year, I mean, this current year.
Right, it was normally 100, but then there was 1 year we asked to cut it by 50 with the understanding that at some point we would put it back in, and we never put it back in.
You must have
No,
put
it
it back
wasn't
in.
that we would put that 50 back in, it was that we would go back up to 100. It was never that we would put the 50 back in.
It, if you're cutting, my thought was, rather than cut it completely, keep it in front of the voters, have something in there.
Yep.
I would recommend them cutting it in half. They're already gonna, they already have 2 pieces of equipment that's gonna go before the, well, they're not even gonna go before the photos. I think that cutting that in half will do.
I think if it's a warrant article, we put it out to the people and let them decide.
Okay.
But the truck that we buy with the highway funds is going to replace that junker that keeps,
Yes.
Yeah.
that keeps going in the shop,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. One that's been in accidents, it's rotted out,
Yeah, I understand it had a broken frame, welded, I mean,
Yeah.
it's rusty.
yep, it's pigeon junk.
So I would expect that this 2018 model with the new engine that's gonna be put in it, that the life expectancy on that be extended.
I would think so, yes.
Okay.
That's, I mean, those 550s are pretty good trucks, I don't know why they are having engine trouble, but we're not alone, there's 4 others sitting down there waiting for an engine at the,
Or out of how many
how
hundreds
many
of
that,
thousands?
no, that McFarland sold.
All right, what else, John?
Okay, is there a motion to recommend those warrant articles as I presented?
Do you need that tonight?
I
Or-
need to go to the budget committee
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay, fine. But it doesn't preclude, it's not the public hearing on Thursday. Public hearing's next week,
It's the 10th.
the 10th, okay. So just,
And you have another 2 weeks to make additional changes if
Yeah,
it's
okay.
brought up, so.
that's all, in case something else came up that we wanted to add as a warrant article, that's all. I
Yeah,
was
this,
thinking
this
about.
gets it to the budget committee so they can set it for public hearing.
Okay,
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the proposed warrant articles as listed in the town administrator's report.
have a second?
Is G staying the same, you said?
Yep,
Yeah, I'll second it.
roll call vote. Roll call vote,
Aye, Tyler Eaton?
No. The vote against it.
you're voting against the list of warrant articles that the town
Yep.
administrator.
I think we could do some more cuts, but you wanna put it before the voters, so.
I, Donna Danus.
Aye, Tony Dumas.
What else, John?
And Bartlett was a nay, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, FYI, the town meeting established a revolving fund granting the select board authority to expend the cable franchise fee without going to a town meeting. So even though there is a dollar number in the CIP, I didn't put it in a warrant article because we have a fund and you have the authority, so we can spend it out of the cable franchise fee. That's to update this equipment and
Okay.
camera.
Yeah,
It's all getting some age on it. And I think that's all I had.
cool.
Have you got any word from the vendor on that so far, or you?
No, yeah, I've gotta give them a call, but it was the holidays, so I
okay.
figured I'd wait and sometime call back. That was, Access AV out of Concord. They're a good company. I've worked with them a lot in the past.
Yeah,
If there's no other business, I'd like to do a quick non-public under A and B.
I mean, are we doing, can we do anything that we want right now? If we have something we wanna bring up, can we bring it up? And I mean, I'm looking here, the ARPA funds could still be used for salary increases too. Like,
I don't think so.
just look it up.
I think they did change it at the very end, but I would recommend you stick to capital items.
Yeah,
It was originally, part of it was, avoiding layoffs by keeping people on the payroll, kinda like what they did in private sector.
Yeah.
There was some of that initially, so I think that did carry through, but I'm recommending that you stick to capital items. You got a long list of capital items. But, I can double check on it, but I'm pretty sure I read that you can use it that way.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, so you can.
Yep.
I just, that makes me feel better anyway, so.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it was, originally the intent was it was gonna go more that way, but they were worried about municipalities losing revenue. That was the big factor initially.
yeah,
And I was working in a district in which they lost $400,000 in revenue and they didn't cover districts. It was ski area and they lost all the, basically most of the winter.
oof.
Okay,
okay, so,
I heard you wanted 91A3, B, A and B,
yes,
non-public?
just real quick, yeah.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to select board enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, section 2A and B.
Second,
Roll call vote.
I've been Bartlett.
I, Tyler Eaton.
I, Donna Danus.
All right, Tony Dumas.
Okay, we're gonna go into non-public. There'll be no additional business after we come out of non-public, and we will be adjourning the public meeting.